Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Advocate Mutivi, SIU head, RTMC CEO Makosini, Msibi. The Special Investigation Unit was mandated by the President through Proclamation R37 of 2017 to investigate matters in respect of the following: registration of motor vehicles, licensing of motor vehicles, testing and issuing of roadworthy certificates, testing and issuing of driving licenses, learners licenses, professional driving permits and issuing of operator fitness cards, conversion of foreign licenses to South African licenses, the entering of and tampering with or manipulation of data or information on the Electronic National Traffic Information System (ENRTS). The SIU has since presented an interim report identifying a number of administrative actions that should be taken by various authorities. The SIU has until 31st March 2023 to complete the investigations and table the final report. Concerns that gave rise to the investigation relate to, among others, officials at DLTCs collaborating with driving schools on the issuing of learners and driving licenses. It is important to appreciate that the design of our road traffic management system is premised on the acknowledgement that while provincial roads, traffic and parking fall within the ambit of exclusive provincial legislative competence, maintaining national norms and standards is necessary to ensure effective performance by national spheres of government of their executive authority. This is equally true maintaining economic unity of the Republic and arrest the negative impact of road fatalities and crashes on the economy. The conclusions and recommendations of the SIU investigation affirms the correctness of our approach in this regard. In its investigation, the SIU identified the drivers of the systemic and operational challenges that gave rise to the corruption and malfeasance, backlog and desperate need for driving licenses, roadworthy certificates, registration of vehicles, and driving of fraudulent conduct. Corrupt officials and criminal middlemen exploit systemic weaknesses. Negligent and or incompetent officials, which some have access to the native system, inadequate compliance monitoring by relevant authorities, lack of and or weak management and oversight, lack of standard operating procedures across national, provincial, local authorities and private institutions, lack of MOU with local authorities, DLTC private vehicle testing centers and private institutions, no agreed minimum performance standards for officials and all employees, no financial autonomy resulting in inadequate resourcing, legislative gaps, greed which drives irregular and criminal behavior, roadworthy certificates issued without vehicle being tested, unlawful selling of licenses by DLTC officials to private persons, money dumping. This relates to traffic fines, SANRAL e-toll invoices, ARTO infringements, license fees dumped on deceased persons' records or persons with duplicate identifications in the form of South African identity number of traffic register number, driving schools, paying driving license examiners to issue licenses irregularly and or fraudulently, the conversion of false foreign license into South African cat licenses, the authorization of roadworthiness without vehicle testing. Through the work of the SIU, the following milestones were achieved. 99 acknowledgement of debt documents signed to the value of 45,721,308 rand 75 cents, with the actual value of cash recovered through this process standing at 3,845,264 rand 95 cents. The actual value of cash recovered through the seizure of illegally imported vehicles during joint operations with RTMC, Hawk, SARS and SIU in respect of 375 vehicles recovered in the Eastern Cape stands at 52,798,708 rands. 190,190 driving licenses have been referred to relevant MECs for cancellation. 190,173 driving licenses issued to persons who have since perished have been referred for cancellation on e-notice. 44 cases have been referred to the National Prosecuting Authority for prosecution. 128 cases have been referred to various authorities for disciplinary, executive and or administrative action. 86 arrests were made for fraud and or theft during joint operations by RTMC, Hawks, SARS and SIU. These are made up of 36 vehicle testing examiners, 10 NATIS officers, 26 GLTC officials, 3 SAPS members, 4 Provincial Department of Transport inspectors, 7 private persons. On July 2022, 6 officials were arrested for 10,000 illicit transactions, which costed the state a combined loss of 60 million rand. President Ramaphosa has been emphatic that there is no space for corrupt people in our government. Working with law enforcement authorities, we are making headway in uprooting malfeasance and corruption. Over the last year, we have been working with the MECs and SALGA to implement a number of interventions that are intended to address the root causes of these systemic and operational challenges. At the core of these interventions is a seamlessly integrated value chain guided by a single standard under the leadership of the RTMC. This will constitute a new service delivery model for all DLTCs in the country. Various measures have been implemented, which includes the introduction of online services and online payments, the rollout of smart enrollment units across all DLTCs, the centralization of the management of booking slots. On the 27th of September 2022, the National Assembly passed the National Road Traffic Amendment Bill, which addresses a number of areas covered by the SIU investigation, which includes a regulation of driving schools. You know that driving schools and they are a law unto themselves. We are now regulating them, and the bill was sent back to Parliament by the President. But we have come up with speed and passed the bill in the National Assemblies en route to the NCOP and back to the desk of the President to address all the issues that I was referring to that were identified by SIU. The bill provides us with more instruments to aggressively tackle the intractable challenge of corruption that continues to bedevil the vehicle and driver licensing system. The regulation of driving schools through this legislation will enable closer scrutiny on the conduct of these schools and ensuring that the uniform standards are applicable to all driving schools. This will also enable the inspector of driving schools established by the bill to hold these schools accountable to the set standards. In conclusion, improving driver competence means strengthening quality assurance across the value chain. From the time a learner enrolls for a learner license test to the driving school until the driving license card is issued. It is for that reason stricter rules are being introduced to address cheating by learners or wayward behavior by instructors. The prevalence of criminal conduct ranging from cloning of vehicles to fraudulent issue of driving licenses is a matter of concern that is receiving our most urgent attention. You see people here driving with colored vehicles, strange colors in the road, and then it is a fashion. Some of these vehicles are charcoaled and all of that, not with the original color. That is the cloning of the vehicle. You see people driving vehicles with a driver's license or the number plate, but when you check the owner of the vehicle in the inerties, that person does not exist. That is a cloning and the stealing of vehicles that is happening here in the Republic. So we are going to bring an end to that. I must express my appreciation to Advocate Mutibi and his team for their sterling work that enable us to exponentially improve service delivery while uprooting corruption and malfeasance from the system. The work that is done by the authorities is often not recognized. The hawks arrest people every day, every week, politicians and people with small trousers, they are getting arrested. The rule of law is being intensified in our country. And the SIU is doing God's work. Everyone, anywhere, whoever is doing wrongdoing, they know that they will be held accountable. And these men and women, in their daily duty and the oath they've taken, they've proven the worth that this is indeed the era and the era of accountability. Mbalula can't do as he wishes and think that is not washed over by the system, or the Keledi, or the Neo, or Makosini. The system is there. We've got good work that we're doing through RTMC. I must thank Makosini. If you go to Centurion and you go to what is this place? Waterfall. You get your driver's license. And those are the standards we're replicating in the country. Getting a driver's license must not be a headache for our people. That is service delivery. We must change public service delivery, including the issuing of driver's license, getting a driver's license. We must move to an era which President Mbeki started in his administration, but it did not complete, that your child, when he finishes school, must be knowing how to drive. It shouldn't be a headache that to get a driver's license and to know how to drive, you must get to certain standards. You must know it from school. And when you finish school at high school level, grade 12, you know how to drive a vehicle. Those are the standards we are aspiring and we are working towards. And with this revelation and the work of the SIU mandated by the President and the action, prompt action taken by RTMC in arresting some of the criminals as we have reported, is good work. And some of them we know they are still in the system. but we are coming for them, and we will find them. And they must know, as we reveal today, that each and every one of them will account for their deeds in terms of undermining the rule of law and the authority of the state. This is the era of accountability, and we leave no stone unturned with law enforcement and everyone else around us to ensure that the perpetrators of wrongdoing are brought to book. Advocate Sibi.
Thank you, Minister, Advocate Mutivi, the DG, as well as the colleagues. Minister, let me then move to the figures quickly to the issues that we're dealing with. At current, we're sitting with 820 cases that are being investigated, which include, amongst others, the issue of the driver licenses issuance fraudulently, the issue of the learner license fraudulently issued, the issue of the roadworthy certificates that are issued fraudulently, and the issue of the vehicle licensing that have been fraudulently issued, as well as fees dumping. Of the 820 cases that were seized with, we have made arrests together with the Hawks of 116 people that have been arrested. These 116 of the people that have been arrested excludes the number that we had of the 7 that were arrested in Mpumalanga 3 weeks ago for the fraudulent amount of 60 million in terms of the Mpumalanga DLTCs. Minister, there are impending warrants that we're working very jointly with the Hawks, Asset and Forfeiture Unit, the NDPA, as well as SIU. And I'm not going to give the details in relation to that. The first priority is Gauteng, which we have a fraudulent license deeds to the tune of 1.2 billion that has been fraudulently issued, and those vehicles are out on the roads mainly by a number of business people. It's followed by Mpumalanga and subsequently by the Free State. Those are the 3 that are playing a major role. And when you take the total figure of the amount that the fiscus has lost, it's about 3 billion that we still need to recover from all those people. So that multi-pronged process, it's intended that we should recover in terms of the Asset and Forfeiture Unit, that we penalize the wrongdoers in relation to that matter, because those are the people who have means and the people that can afford. To that extent, we have begun to improvise the system to ensure that we have consequence management. In terms of the learner licensing, we are rolling out the computerized learner license testing methodology, where we are eliminating the human element in the issuance of the driver's license, so that it's done by computers themselves. The second phase will be in the long run, where we are going to introduce the motor vehicles for the learner license for the drivers, to ensure that it's also computerized. We want to eliminate the feature of a human element in the production or in the testing of the driver's license. The same issue in relation to the motor vehicle renewal, as well as the renewal of the driver's license. You have, Minister, given a directive that we then roll out the smart enrollment. The DLCA, it's hard at work, and we're now certain that by December we will have rolled the smart enrollment in Gauteng. Of the 425 DLTCs, we need to ensure that they are using the smart enrollment. We're beginning to remove the element of the human factor, because even the optometrists were part and parcel of the fraudulent activities. So we're beginning to remove them, so that the system itself begins to deal with this, with the matters it has. What is more disturbing, Minister, we have also looked into the origins of the criminal elements. These issues of the fraudulent issuance of the motor vehicle disc have been compounded by the closure of the post office's services. When the post offices were closed, they were not reported timeously. and the criminals had seized the equipment that was used by the post offices, and to that extent, they've been issuing those fraudulent areas. There are provinces of high interest that we're not going to mention, and we're just on the footsteps. Sooner, the minister will then be giving the nation the impact there too, as well as the arrest. That the officers that are involved, because they are heavily involved in terms of our DLTCs, we now deregister them from the eNCA system of the infrastructure number, those that are found to be part and parcel of this. To that extent, we're working with the MECs to completely deregister them, ensure that they cannot practice as traffic officers and or to be examiners of the motor vehicles. It is on that basis that the other issue, Minister, that has come to the fore, that is going to be in force as of 2023, when the new generation pass out. We're no longer issuing the examiner of motor vehicles as well as the driver licenses as an independent course. It is now inculcated in the 3-year course of the driver's license, simply because we want to deal with this issue of those people that have gone to colleges for 3 months and they come out being examiner of motor vehicles and examiner of driver's licenses. Thank you.
Minister, Honorable Minister Mbalula, I greet you. Acting DG, CEO of the RTMC, and my colleague Mr. Lekgetho, members of the media. Minister, thank you very much for this opportunity. We really appreciate that you have really given the public the outline and what is it that has been found. This investigation, supported by yourself and proclaimed by the President, has actually led us to uncover the modus operandi. Put it simply, the methods or criminal and corrupt methods used by those who infiltrate the system. Without restating, you have stated most of what the investigations have found, but we would really like to say and repeat your words, Minister, that it's now time for consequence management in all its forms. Whether it's prosecution, we would like to see that following. Disciplinary action, those corrupt officials must be taken out of the system. And we've identified them. We know who they are, and we'll make those referrals to the department, to RTMC, so that action can be taken and they are removed from the system. We are glad to hear of these regulatory changes that the RTMC will be introducing. This is all in the interest of ensuring that we curb and prevent this corruption from recurring, and ensuring that the public is protected against all these illicit activities. Minister, you did indicate around the negative impact that this has on the public and the general law abiding drivers out there. But if we really ensure that we take cue from what the Minister you have said and ensure that we take action against those that we have identified and prevent going forward, we will see that the safety is restored in the public roads. We would like to ensure that there's also integrity management in the system. And there would be an integrity framework that we will share with the department and the RTMC. It would really include various interventions, including what we would like to ensure that it's a framework that allows us to arrest those corrupt officials on the spot, and not just officials, and those who corrupt these officials. Minister, the investigation has uncovered that in various license issuing centers, there is a chain. You can't even call it a value chain because it doesn't add value. There's a chain of corrupt activities. It includes driver's licenses. It includes driving schools. It includes the so-called runners. It includes officials, and of course, it also includes those willing participant citizens. So we would like to crack, Minister. We would like to crack that criminal chain, and we've got the interventions that we are going to engage with RTMC to ensure that we prevent that from happening. Minister, as you have really indicated, that various methods has been uncovered, and these are the ones where we will engage with the RTMC to ensure that we bring them to an end. But amongst others, those corrupt and crooks that are really involved in this, they should know that we know how you infiltrate our system to ensure that there's backdating of registration liability, where it's also a form of money, so-called money dumping, the usage of deceased persons, and you use those identities, you put them on the system, and you dump the money there, and then you ensure that when it comes out, it's cleared. We are aware of that method. Updating of new registration owners, we are aware of that method. The so-called dealer stocking, and this one, Minister, involves the dealers out there. And we are aware of that method. And we would like to really warn that such should stop, because we are putting measures in place that we should detect that. Minister, just in closing, exporting of vehicles as the so-called buyer unknown. This is a process that these corrupt individuals really ensure that they use to fleece and ensure that they get the registration of vehicles in a corrupt and unauthorized manner. Minister, I'm going to pause here and really just say we take cue from your statement that we will just have to make sure that we execute. We execute in conjunction with the Road Traffic Management Corporation and of course the department. As SIU, as we investigate, Minister, we continue to also get new allegations. And there are new allegations that the team have put in place. We will engage RTMC in terms of if there's a need for expanding or amending the proclamation, we will do so just to make sure that we leave no turn unstoned. We will ensure that we proceed on that basis, Minister. We assure you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a nice clip. Not 10 unstolen.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you to the CEO of the RTMC, Advocate Msibi, as well as the head of the SIU, Advocate Mutivi. I will now open up for a round of questions, followed by answers that can be posed to the Minister, the CEO of the RTMC, as well as the head of the SIU. To our colleagues in the media, the microphones in front of you, please do kindly turn them on. They will turn red when you would like to pose a question, and then when you're done, please do switch them off so that they do not interfere with the next person's question. So if you could just begin the question by introducing yourself and the media house in which you represent this afternoon, and to whom the question is addressed to, that would really assist greatly. Thank you very much. I will now open up for a round of questions.
No stones unturned.
Thank you, Minister and gentlemen in front. My name is Mbalula from eNCA. I just wanted to get clarity on the investigation itself. how back does it go? Because we know that these systemic issues have been there, Minister. We're talking of years of corruption that have been happening there. So how long do they go back, and how long does the consequence management go as far as back? So that's the first point of clarity. And just secondly, in terms of the arrest, where are these investigations? I know that you mentioned 3 provinces, but has the investigations been looking at all provinces, or are those the only provinces of interest at this particular stage, and how far will they go?
Thank you, Mangoba. Yes, Roy.
Roy Kirkay from Moneywell.
Roy, please utilize the other mic. That's the one that's on.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Roy Kirkay from Moneywell. This is a question for Advocate Mothibi. I'd just like him to expand on, make some comments about dealer stocking, which I'm not sure exactly what that involves. If you could actually explain that and expand on that, thanks.
Any more questions, colleagues?
The investigation is from 2017, 2019 to date, and it affects all provinces. This is the proclamation that was passed by the president, and it has covered that particular period. There is a lot of work we are doing with SIU. In the next coming weeks, I'm going to be reporting to you about the work and the actions we have taken at Prasa, where we've got more than 3,000 ghost workers, people who are just working, being paid by state money, all covered by these gentlemen. Irregular things that have been happening there, we're dealing with that. So SIU has been hard at work, including in the Department of Transport, PPEs, a lot of work that have been covered, unraveling of corruption and the actions we are taking. This part of work, proclamations get to be signed by the president, but you often don't get the report back on the work done. You don't get the report back, and then you hear people saying that, people are not arrested. Actually, there are convictions also that Makosini should be talking about. Just the other day, we arrested somebody at somewhere in Heidelberg, and they are sentenced to more than 15 years for theft of vandalism, of theft and cable theft in Prasa. And working with the NPA, I also engaged Advocate Batoi, engaged the SIU, engaged SAPS, of course under Umwazi, Hawks and everybody. And there have been significant arrests that have been made away from just minnows. People who are in the streets and all of that. We get to the main kingpins of these operations. So I'm saying that the state is hard at work, and the state undercut itself by not reporting its work. They don't report. Abo Advocate Mothibi, no stone unturned. They don't report on their work. Of course, since Kanyaho arrived there at SIU, there is a lot of movement. I saw the other day they accused him that he protected Claudi. What will you do with Claudi? What will Kanyaho do with Claudi? Is my friend. So, but they now you see a lot of reporting on the work. They are not Hollywood. When they do work, they Hollywood style. No, they are hard at work. You see the work that we are reporting today, quality work that has been done. We know where is the problem, what we need to do, and we are executing. And the days of the criminals in terms of driver's license are not numbered. We are reducing them every day. Now, because we've got problems of unemployment, poverty, and inequality, they overshadow everything else that is being done, because our people and our nation is depressed. People are not working, so they don't care what the state does at what given point in time, because people are unemployed. They are languishing in poverty and all of that, and the state is equally preoccupied with that particular task of ensuring that we deal with challenges of poverty, unemployment, and ensuring economic growth in the midst of all the challenges we've got of COVID-19 that have literally shattered the economy, and make it a point that there is no movement, and we're able to produce 2 million people to be unemployed in a very short space of time. So I'm just here reporting on this work with the SIU, and at the same time appreciate the work that law enforcement is doing in many fronts, and we will keep reporting. In the next coming weeks, I will give you a detailed report on the work we have done at Prasa through Operation Ziveze, and also the work of the SIU and the people who have had to deal with at Prasa, and put them, out there and deal with them in accordance with the reports of the Special Investigation Unit. So there are many fronts that we're dealing with in the department, but this one of driver's license has been our Achilles heel and a bigger problem in the country. And I keep giving you reports on the interventions we are making, including online services, the new driver's license, and so on. I had some of you reporting on the machine. I must take you also and show you this machine, because you don't know this machine, how it looks like. And some of you report about the broken machine and all of that. The machine was introduced in 1998. And I've reported to you that we are phasing out this machine, and we are introducing a new driver's license. And that is what we're doing now. But the machine, in terms of production, we have killed the backlog. The machine breaks down from time to time, and then it gets serviced and so on. So there are people there at DLCA where the cards are getting produced. Whenever the machine gets a breakdown, they leak the information to the media as though it's a major crisis. The machine does get serviced. It does encounter breakdowns. The machine is obsolete, and that is why we're phasing it out. And I've gone to Cabinet. Cabinet have given me a rubber stamp about the new machine. And I'm going to report to you also about the e-tolls. Don't sleep. In the next 2 weeks, what we are going to do. Listen to Kotongwana on Wednesday about the e-tolls and what we are going to do. But immediately after that, I'm going to tell you what are we going to do with the e-tolls. So we are hard at work. So there's no chance that everything else is left to chance. So we're going to report to you in the next 2 weeks the fate of the e-tolls in the Republic of South Africa as processed by the national government. And the Minister of Finance will speak, I don't know in detail about it. I don't know what he's going to say. So Roy, please don't ask me today about e-tolls. So I'm giving you next 2 weeks. You can see now I'm very confident. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to the e-tolls in the Republic of South Africa. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Minister. There's a question that I need to respond to around part of the modus operandi And usually as law enforcement agencies, when we know how the criminals commit offenses, it's probably appropriate that we let them know that we are aware. But in many instances, we keep the details to ourselves so that we can be able to catch you. But in this case, Honorable Minister, I think we will say, how is it that we know that the dealers are involved? Even if they know how we know, it's probably better off in the public interest that they stop. And for that, Roy, as you ask the question, we'll just give you the snippets of how is it that we are aware of this so-called dealer stalking, right? Right. In this instance, Minister, a customer will go to the dealer, right, with an unlicensed vehicle and will approach the dealer and request them to dealer stock their vehicle, which will make penalties and arrears go away. Clearly, this would be an intentional collusion between the two. The dealer is also not honest in the process. So, as I indicated, that will deal with everyone involved in this criminal chain. And I still repeat, it's not a value chain. It's a criminal chain because it doesn't add value, it's negative. Now, when they agree that they will make this penalties and areas go away, then they re-register the vehicle back into the previous owner's name or new owner's name, right? When the dealer stocks an unlicensed vehicle, the system will only charge them double registration fee, and all outstanding license penalties and areas will disappear. So this is a complex, crooked way of doing things. They have perfected this, and Honorable Minister, this is wide scale, and we would like to make sure that it's cracked. In terms of the National Road Traffic Act, dealers are allowed to dealer stock, and this is really just to now indicate to you that the regulatory framework around this, they are allowed to dealer stock vehicles which customers trade in to buy new vehicles, right? But with that regulatory framework, they have now, conjured this corrupt way of ensuring that they dealer stock in such a manner that the penalties and arrears, and in many instances, it's huge funds, it's huge fees that they make disappear, and as a result, the RTMC loses on those funds, and ultimately government loses. So Minister, we really want to ensure that this kind of methods of operation are cracked down and stopped. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Mangoba, you wanted to know the provinces that are of interest. And I'm not going to give the names of the provinces, but I'll give the figures. The highest province is 1.2 billion that you need to recover. The second province, it's 800 million. And the third province, it's 600 million. It will be very foolish of me to give the provinces because you are almost there. So I think that will assist you. Thank you.
In conclusion, I just want to thank the SIU and the media, but also I want to thank Nwako Makaipia, our acting Director General, who has been acting in the position. His position is a Deputy Director General of Rail in the Department of Transport. Today I will be introducing to the staff as I leave here the new Director General of the Department of Transport, to the staff of the Department of Transport. So we are not part of these departments you are talking about that don't have DGs. from today. So we're going to have a DG. So I want to thank him because he's very dedicated and he has done a sterling job for us in the department since the departure of Alec Muyemi. We are also going to introduce today the new CEO of SANRAL. Later today, we are employing a new CEO of SANRAL. SANRAL has been without the CEO for quite some time. So Cabinet has approved the new CEO that will be introducing at SANRAL immediately after the Department of Transport. So the question of the e-tolls will be resolved. And so we'll give you the future of the e-tolls in the Republic and what we are going to do in terms of SANRAL debt and everything else. But the Minister of Finance will speak on those matters. And then we'll follow suit in terms of outlining the processes we're going to follow in terms of the e-tolls. I just want to thank everybody and Loazi here. And I was asking her why is she wearing black today, who died in the department. And then she said, no, she's celebrating beauty today. Thank you, Loazi. And also thank you for your patience because I know you arrived earlier and I arrived late because of other commitments. My apologies to you. I know you slaughter me all the time, SABC. But thank you for carrying the story. But I also thank the SIU. It's like thanking the fish for swimming. But this is what our people want. To get to the crux, not to be seen. We've got to act decisively in terms of acts of corruption where they manifest themselves. Of course, we want the big fish in the main in terms of the work that we're doing. But they have acted on the proclamation, and these are not easy victories. This is not just PR, this is the real work that they've done on the proclamation that has been signed by the President and executed and directed by us and executed by them. And we really appreciate that. And we know that all other agencies of the law, others are not here, Hawks and all of them, and NPA have done a sterling job in terms of ensuring that we act in concert in the fight against corruption in our country. And it's going to be like that. And we will have many celebrations in terms of us cracking syndicates in our country that bedevil our country in terms of corruption. So we're looking and characterize this era as the era of accountability. No stone will be left unturned in dealing with some of these particular matters. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Loazi. Thank you. I don't know. No, you're coming to him, not me.